My, how the mighty have fallen. Today's movie review. Damn it. Ow. Damn it. Within the Marvel Cinematic Universe, you would think that every main superhero would start and end with their own respective trilogies. And for a while, it's actually been like that. Iron Man ended his last solo film in Iron Man 3. Steve Rogers in Captain America Civil War. Even the Guardians of the Galaxy are reported to have their last hurrah in Volume 3. For that version of the team at least. But lately, Disney decided to go on and move forward with a fourth entry into the Thor franchise, Thor: Love and Thunder. Now, as I mentioned in past videos that I usually get early employee screenings to big movies like this on a Wednesday night, the funny thing is, we saw this movie by accident. Basically, I was working at my theater, and it was after hours, and we were just cleaning all the theaters pretty much. Then for some odd reason, one of the projectors turned on by itself, and it scared the living crap out of one of my coworkers so bad, she ran out of the theater screaming. I mean, it was quiet, with not much to do, so when she screamed, everyone just flocked into the theater, expecting the worst, and what we all saw was Thor playing on the big screen. Me, all the employees, even the managers got excited. That was a pleasant surprise. But watching it a day early with a room full of my fellow employees completely changed the dynamic on how I saw this film. Had I watched this with a packed and eager MCU audience, I probably would have raised the final score a point within this review. But I was able to go in with a much clearer mind and not treat this film like if it were some kind of event. So was it actually worth it for a studio to break out of that trilogy pattern and continue the story? Maybe, or maybe not. With this being the 29th film in the MCU and taking place after the events of Avengers Endgame, Thor is trying to find his inner peace and happiness until he's called into action where he must team up with Valkyrie, Korg, and his returning girlfriend Jane Foster to take on Gorr the God Butcher, a new villain who plans on purging every god within the Marvel Universe. From what I saw, I was never bored with this film. It's actually quite entertaining at best, and there are some improvements that the other films didn't do. Jane Foster, a character that I never cared about or her relationship with Thor, gets a massive upgrade. In the first two films, Natalie Portman's character has always been treated kind of like as this tech support in the background while Thor is off fighting the main villain. Here, she's actually involved in the action as Mighty Thor, which is also accurate to her comic book version. And even as a superhero, she doesn't even act all that mighty. She's still trying to know her limits while gaining these new powers, and it really does come off as very down to earth. Also, this is the first time I genuinely care about the relationship between Thor and Jane. The relationship in previous films always felt like as in, hey, we're both two good-looking people, I like you. You like me. Let's go make out. Chris and Natalie do have great chemistry between each other on screen, and they even add depth to their relationship that I believe with all the flashbacks helped involve understanding why this character wasn't involved in the third film. The fight sequences were alright, but you can tell at times that the CGI was not very well done, and it looks like as though it was not finished in post-production. Also, Gore the God Butcher is a villain that I did not expect to be a standout. Although he doesn't resemble his comic book version with the G-string, and Taika Waititi even said that he would have looked too close to Lord Voldemort, Christian Bale once again gives off a terrific performance for a sympathetic villain. This is a character that we feel for, but we also understand his motives, and he doesn't consider himself a bad guy. Although he may be the second best Thor villain adapted, I really do believe that this movie's tone did not really fit well for his character, and he was very underutilized. But knowing Christian Bale, he actually does live up to his name when he signs up for a movie like this. Christian took the money and bailed. Also for the comedy, I'm not gonna lie, there were actually some comedic moments where it actually did get to me. And I think Taika Waititi is really good within the comedy genre when he's not being forced. Unfortunately, besides the Thor and Jane relationship, everything else in this film feels forced. Now, even though Taika Waititi is back after directing Thor Ragnarok, a film which I really did enjoy, you would think that this film is in safe hands. But when I saw the first trailer, I knew there was an issue. Everything that I predicted about this film while coming out of the employee screening did come to pass. This film is very misdirected in so many categories. First off, the film is very off balance in tone. Now, I know that Marvel loves to put comedy in their films, which I do not mind, but this film is flooded with way too many jokes and one-liners that it completely messes up any sort of emotional impact that it has to the story. The point of comedy is to relieve tension to the audience, but if you're doing it every single minute, then you're having a very difficult time to take any of this film seriously at all. And the times when they actually do get serious, they don't even go full on ahead with it. Also, where Thor started off as this serious godlike character to his incredible arc in Infinity War is now nothing more than just a parody version of his former self. There's no filmmaking risk or consequences involved that will affect the character's arcs. Honestly, if you were to not watch this film, you're not missing much. It doesn't make any impact to any other stories, including the Guardians of the Galaxy. They're only in it for 5 minutes. It's basically just another filler movie to a cinematic universe that spends millions of dollars on these types of projects, and we as an audience are spending 2 hours of our lifetime watching a movie that's from a company that's afraid to put on their big boy pants just because they don't want to take a major artistic risk. Now, did I throw my desk because I hate this movie? No, not at all. I threw it because I hate it when a film doesn't live up to its full potential. That is one of the things that'll piss me off. But you know what? You did it, Disney. You really did it. You actually made this film in my top 5. Top 5 worst films that the MCU has ever made. Congratulations. But in the end, this is an unnecessary filler film. But if you just want to go in just to be entertained and nothing more, probably even turn off your brain and not doom scroll for the next couple of hours, then this is probably the right movie for you. And you know what? And if you actually do enjoy this movie, good on you. But if you're one of those moviegoers that wants to go into a movie and it gets you thinking afterwards, probably even thinking about life, then you should probably go somewhere else. Probably like HBO Max while it's still on life support, because it's definitely not this movie. But then again, that's for y'all to decide when this movie comes out on September 8th, streaming on Disney+. So for the final score, I'm going to give Thor Love and Thunder a 6 out of 10. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Look forward to more movie reviews to come along in the future. So anyways, if you haven't already, subscribe here to the channel for more content. Until then, I'll see you next time.